my soul, an understanding of the greater plan. In these walls I've seen the light of love pure and divine, helps me remember who I really am. In every face it's clear, we're all God's children here, and it feels like home, it feels like home. I finally found a place where I belong. It feels like home, it feels like home, a family that I can call my own. It feels like home. It's a place to share your burden. It's safe to shed a tear, say a prayer and raise your voice in song, where every heart is honored and every path is true. No one's here to judge you right or wrong, and there's no shame, no sin in this place where love begins. And it feels like home, it feels like home. I finally found a place where I belong. It feels like home, it feels like home, a family that I can call my own. It feels like home.
Please join me as we open our hearts, our minds, and quiet our entire beings through a moment of inner reflection. We reach beyond our physical senses to experience presence, the one presence, giving life to all life. We sense now, too, the presence of one another, and we honor each other as inseparable, indivisible, unique pieces of the human family, the human fabric, the one. In this moment, I experience community and I celebrate community. As water, air, and food give life to living things, so too does this treasure we call community. The sincere intention of honoring diversity and authentic caring sustains us in many ways, creating rich, fertile soil for soul growth. In this field, I rest. I renew my energies. I express my hopes and my fears. I find acceptance, encouragement, and love. In this field, I am moved to serve and to uplift. We dance in this circle of giving and receiving life to and from one another. We ground ourselves. In this fertile soil, our minds and our hearts stay open. We can all risk becoming more. We can learn, make mistakes, and change our minds. We can stumble, fall, and get up again. We raise each other up again and again. We are growing a new world order. And so it is.
It feels like home. It feels like home. I finally found a place where I belong. It feels like home. It feels like home. A family that I can call my own. It feels like home. It feels like home. I finally found a place where I belong. It feels like home. It feels like home. A family call my own. It feels like home.
As I sat by the glittering, babbling brook, singing its way over the sun-dappled rocks, I wondered, what would it be like to be water? Water has no shape of its own, but is defined by its container. This gurgling stream, a drop of rain gently falling on a leaf, the spray of an ocean wave, a cloud, a snowflake, a pond, the leading edge of a glacier, the steam from a tea kettle. Water can be destructive, like a tsunami, or comforting, like a warm bath. Water never resists. It flows as easily down a river channel as it hurtles over a cliff to the river below. It takes the shape of a bowl or a hose with equal ease. It can be as forceful as a flash flood, or as gentle as the mist hanging above the sea. It can provoke impending fear, or spontaneous joy as a giggling 3-year-old runs through the sprinkler. Water on an endless, life-giving cycle. Would that I could be like water, embracing and trusting my current form, flowing effortlessly, fearlessly, trusting, knowing my destiny would be to return to the ocean once more, no matter my current circumstances. But wait, a light is dawning in my mind. Perhaps, just perhaps, I am like water. For I am a spark of the divine, a drop of water in the infinite ocean of consciousness. I will take on many forms. I have taken on many forms in this lifetime. But unlike the water, I have a choice. I can choose to flow gently, trusting in the journey, embracing my container. Or I can choose to resist, railing and complaining at my current circumstances. Unlike the water, I have a choice. I can choose to be a force of destruction or a force for love. May I always choose love. May the ripples I send create harmony. May my voice speak words of loving kindness. May my eyes see beyond what is right in front of me. May I listen with a peaceful mind and an open heart to truly hear. May my hands be those of service. May I walk gently and reverently upon the earth. May I be truly grateful in each moment for the chance to create myself again. May my life be a river of love.
I am a child of the living God, made in the image of perfect love. All that I am, all I've been given to you, my God, I surrender. I surrender. I am a child of the living
actually super tired after last night, and my voice is going out, so I'm going to keep this short. But I do want to acknowledge a couple of our teens here. Aiden and Lucas did an amazing job working at the auction last night. And we had several more teens that were working last night that are not here, probably because they're sleeping in and resting. But our love goes out to them, too, because they did awesome. So would you please help me in blessing all of our youth?
Thank you for being our family. Thank you for being our friend. Thank you for blessing and teaching us. God bless you. Amen. All that I am, all I've been given, to you, my God, I surrender.
Oh, we do thank those youth who helped last night make it such a magnificent event, and countless ones of you and volunteers. It's awesome. It's awesome. I see many people that I saw last night, but you're looking kind of plain and ordinary this morning. It was not so plain and ordinary around here last night. It was a whale of a good party. And that's one reason why I'm feeling a lot of gratitude and appreciation for our spiritual community. We have a lot of fun here. That is a peak event in our year, of course, but we have a lot of fun here. I want to begin by welcoming everyone, whoever you are and whatever your life experience and whatever your philosophical beliefs and how they might be evolving for you. We honor diversity and we are committed to seeing the best in each other. These are critical times for finding spiritual kinship, spiritual family, and we welcome you to our spiritual home. Each week after service, we gather over in the Friendship Hall just across the way, and we enjoy refreshments and conversation, and I hope all of you will make your way there this morning. Today, the refreshments will be provided by our Board of Trustees, and all proceeds will go straight to the building fund. Another reason that I am in deep appreciation of my and our spiritual community is because I've had a hard week. Maybe you've had a hard week too. I did have one of those synchro-divine things happen, though, and this was a good thing in a bad week. A friend kind of casually mentioned that she was loving reading Marianne Williamson's book, From Tears to Triumph. So, of course, I had to go online and read about it a little bit, and I had to say, you need that, and you need it right now. So I got it on my Kindle, because we can do that nowadays. I could get it right now, and I got completely immersed and lost in this book. Marianne Williamson, I think many of you know her, former Unity minister, prolific author, motivational speaker. How many of you heard her at the end of June when Unity in Lynnwood sponsored her here on her Love America tour? This book of hers gave me a perspective on things, and it gave me hope. I'm in grief, and the only reason I would speak it is that I suspect many of you share my grief. I've been waking in the mornings these days this week, and I say to myself, this is not my country. I live in the United States of America, and we don't send pipe bombs to people because they have different political beliefs from ours. This is the United States of America, and we don't walk into places of worship and shoot people because their faith or their culture or their customs are different from ours. Some days my country seems unrecognizable. It's harder to feel at home here, it's harder to feel safe here, and I know there are millions of people in my country, our country, that feel far less safe than I do, and for good reason. For me, it's way beyond political beliefs. For me, it's bringing me back to what I call core human values, core humane values, the values democracy builds on, where common good matters and people matter, and people are more important than money or personal gain. I loved Marianne this week for offering me perspective. She told me that I can't really separate my own suffering from the culture of depression and suffering in which I exist. And as I thought about that, it made a lot of sense. She told me that my pain shows up mentally, emotionally, and it even becomes physical sometimes. She said it's the healthiest response I could be making. She gave me words like blessed unrest and suggested that my grief over a grievous state of things in our world is healthy. Your pain is here for a reason, she said. It is a messenger, and it is to empower you to action. My summation for me is that I just want to shift. I want to shift away from politics, and I want to focus on resurrection. The resurrection of those core humane values. I call them core spiritual values. I am an optimist, and I believe in holding to a philosophy of empowerment. That's why I'm here at Unity. It's a philosophy of empowerment. So I will choose to rest in my belief and my trust in the inherent goodness of humankind. I will continue to try to figure out how to voice it, because if I don't, I simply hurt too much inside. If I don't, I will squander the spiritual power available to me. We've already begun this work together, and I know we will do more of this work together. I often wonder how I would maintain any kind of equilibrium if I didn't have a community like this one where I feel a deep sense of belonging, deeply rooted, with people that I also hold to be also grounded in these same core humane values. Marianne also lauds community. She said, "We are interdependent by nature. We are born to be brothers and sisters, and in the absence of kinship, we slowly die." If you are looking for kinship and haven't found your community yet, you might want to consider ours. And if you know someone who's out there on their own, as I'm so grateful that I am not, without a community of like-minded folk, you might want to invite them on in because they might find comfort here as well. We welcome all folks. Today is Prayer Sunday, so you are invited following our service to join our prayer chaplains back in the family room right at the back of the sanctuary, where you will be supported by a prayer chaplain as you open to the movement of the Holy Spirit within you. We recognize our prayer chaplains because they wear purple stoles around their necks. Denials and affirmative prayer are bedrock tools of Unity. Unity taught long before science confirmed it. Our thoughts have creative power. Unity co-founder Charles Fillmore referenced Emerson, and he used these words: "Great hearts and minds send forth the secret forces that draw great events, and wherever the mind goes, this force of nature will go too." Unity also recognizes that in this world of form, we encounter barriers and stumbling blocks, often inside of us, often of our own making. This is why Unity pairs denials and affirmations. And yesterday I wrote this one for myself, and I will share it with you. While I recognize and accept the fear and grief that rise up inside me when I hear about or I see hatred and violent acts toward people, I refuse to give away my power to that fear. Instead, I affirm my faith in a higher order and tap into the depth of my spiritual resource now for the wisdom to discern my part in this and the strength to carry it out. Our prayer chaplains, a whole team of professional prayers, support this community in many ways. One of the ways is that they're here to meet with us individually at the end of any service. You can find them at either side up at the front of the sanctuary, and then we can get our prayers to them in other ways too. An easiest way is to grab a prayer slip right in the back of the chair in front of you. Write your prayer request there and slip it into the offering basket when it comes around. And any time of any day, both a confidential phone line and an online web prayer link is available to us. And that number and web address are in your calendar. Could I ask our prayer chaplains that are here to serve us just to stand up so we can say thank you? Thank you, thank you. Every week we share an affirmation together to ground ourselves in a high truth to strengthen us moving into our week. Today we have a denial and affirmation, and I will read them first and then invite you to stand. My identity isn't rooted in temporary stuff and transient circumstance. My identity is rooted in the eternal presence and enduring potentiality that is God. Please stand if you are able, and let's share this together. Ready? My identity isn't rooted in temporary stuff and transient circumstance. My identity is rooted in eternal presence and enduring potentiality that is God. While we're on our feet, let's greet each other this morning.
I live my life unapologetically. I wanna take advantage of all I ought to be. I wanna show the world my potentiality. Wanna do it now, not eventually. Flat out, wide open, all in and out loud. One vow, unbroken, one life, right now. Flat out, wide open, all in and out loud. One vow, unbroken, one life, right now. Don't worry, mother, it'll be all right. Don't worry, sister, say your prayers and sleep tight. It'll be fine, lover of mine. It'll be just fine. Lend your voices only to sounds of freedom. No longer lend your strength to that which you wish to be free from. Fill lives with love and glory, and you shall lead a life uncommon. I've heard your anguish, I've heard your hearts cry out. We are tired, we are weary, but we aren't worn out. Set down your chains, faith remains. Set down your chains and lend our voices only to sounds of freedom. No longer lend our strength to that which we wish to be free from. Their lives with love and bravery, and we shall lead a life uncommon. There are plenty of people who pray for peace, but if praying were enough, it would have come to be. Let your words enslave no one, and the heavens will hush themselves to hear our voices ring out clear with sounds of freedom, sounds of freedom. Come on, you unbelievers, move out of the way. There is a new army coming, and we are armed with faith to live. We must give to live. Lend our voices only to sounds of freedom. No longer lend our strength to that which we wish to be free from. Their lives with love and bravery, and we shall lead. And lend our voices only to sounds of freedom. No longer lend our strength to that which we wish to be free from. Their lives with love and bravery, and we shall lead. And lend our voices only to sounds of freedom. No longer lend our strength to that which we wish to be free from. Their lives with love and bravery, and we shall lead a life uncommon.
I have to believe that as we elevate ourselves in both experience and an understanding of all matters spiritual, we find ourselves drawn ever closer, not ever further one to the other. I have to believe this, for such a belief stands central to who I am and how I choose to spend my days. May we, as an intentional spiritual community, continue to put this belief to the test. May we continue to seek that ripe field of unity that rests beyond the dry expanse of human positionality. May we continue to give ourselves to that drawing ever closer that so describes unity in Lynnwood, even now, especially now, in great trust that it is from this drawing ever closer that greater possibility will be revealed from limitation, that greater sufficiency will be revealed from lack, that greater wisdom will be revealed from confusion, and yes, that greater love, always greater love, will be revealed from discord.
Heard your anguish, I've heard your hearts cry out. We are tired, we are weary, but we aren't worn out. Set down your chains till only faith remains. set down your chains.
So in upcoming days, we will continue to hear of the latest domestic hate crime in which 11 souls were taken. And while we grieve with our brothers and sisters in Pittsburgh, as we grieve with all victims of the violence born of human greed, ignorance, and fear, let us honor those who have moved on, not only by the fullness of our tears, but by the strength of our resolve. Let us honor those who have moved on by a doubling down in our message that life in every form is sacred. And more importantly, let us honor those who have moved on by a doubling down in our collective commitment to walking out of this building this morning as the hands and feet of that message in our world.
And lend our voices only to sounds of freedom. No longer lend our strength to that which we wish to be free from. Fill your lives with love and bravery, and we shall lead a life uncommon.
So it is. Thank you. Good morning, Unity in Lynnwood. Always, 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 it's a delight, it's an honor to be in your noble company. Thank you for being here this morning. On Saturday, November 3rd, I would invite you to join Grounds team leader Cheryl Jones. Cheryl, would you mind to wave your hand? I'm concerned that your shyness will... Please consider joining our beloved Cheryl in our fall cleanup party. Not only will we prepare these beautiful sacred grounds for the winter, but this will be a collaborative effort with the amazing faculty and staff of We Care Academy and the development of the first walking trails on the back side of the property. So please consider pioneering an effort in which this land will be returned to its well-deserved beauty. Remembrance Service, Director of Prayer Ministries, Barbara Thorpe, November 18th, 12:30 p.m. If you have lost a loved one, if you have lost a pet, please join her in a time of honoring, in a time of remembering as we approach the holidays. All are welcome. And finally, Thanksgiving Eve. It might be my favorite service of the year, but of course I say that about all of them, don't I, Nan? It was Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, co-founders of Unity, who taught gratitude not as the effect of a world that shows up as we have dictated it should, but as a proactive spiritual discipline which we can use with great intention. Let us put this assertion to the test on Thanksgiving Eve. It's a great, great, fun service. For all events, of course, please register in the back. If you have questions, you may engage one of our noble ambassadors. They would be happy to assist you. She is so busy. Elaine, it's these kids nowadays. I know, I'm teasing. Your ambassadors for 11 o'clock are Elaine Sharples. Would you wave, please, and Nan Allen. If you have a question about what we believe, about what we teach, about what is available to you, they would be happy to assist. Elaine, a beautiful piece of writing. Thank you. What an honor. What an honor. Woo! Loren also hosts an experience called Let's Connect in Friendship Hall. It is designed simply to make conversation easy. How did I do with that? Thank you, and thank you for doing that. Whew. Many staff and leaders are preparing this week to travel to Toronto, where we will attend the Parliament of the World's Religions. I've chosen this Sunday to share a piece which I wrote following the 2015 Parliament of World's Religions. Would you do me the kindness of indulging me a piece? Yeah, just nod yes. Thank you, Lynn, because otherwise it gets really awkward. If, no, we won't do that. We won't. I wrote this upon my return from the 2015 conference. How remarkable it was on that opening evening to watch 6 indigenous men play one drum, animal-like sounds emanating from their throats for 20 minutes as marchers entered with flags representing 70 countries, as 10,000 people cheered and clapped. I can quite assure you that until you've cheered and clapped with 10,000 people, all collectively awakening to what seems to be a primordial memory of the fundamental oneness of all life at the very insistence of rhythm itself, an experience that defies any cheap words we might use to attempt to describe it, I can quite assure you that until you've done that, there's still room for improvement. Then to have individuals of the Ute Nation in full indigenous garb stand before that assembly of 10,000 people, a sea of faces of every color and shape, wrapped in the colors of their respective corners of human tradition and history, to have individuals of the Ute Nation stand before that assembly of 10,000 people and issue a sincere and heartfelt welcome to their homeland, a homeland that the Spaniards would ultimately call Utah. To hear their welcome reflected by Utah's governor, 2 mayors, countless dignitaries. And then there was Lynn Gottlieb. Who could ever forget this Lynn Gottlieb, this storyteller, author, musician, artist, peace educator, human rights advocate, the co-founder of the Interfaith Peace Builders, the founder of the Jewish-Muslim Peace Walk, one of the first women in Jewish history to become a rabbi. It does not end there. There was an entire booth dedicated to female Catholic priests. So I have to tell you, I felt deep gratitude. I attended events from the Zoroastrian Thanksgiving ritual to a spirituality for the 21st century, to an event with my beloved friend, the Reverend Dr. Bishop Barbara King of Hillside International Truth Center in Atlanta, Georgia. Now, you see, it just doesn't matter what the content of the presentation is. When Dr. Barbara, after nearly half a century in service to the New Thought ministry, which she, as an African-American woman, pioneered on the very buckle of the Bible Belt, when she presents her nearly 7 feet to issue something of her 85 years of wisdom, and you understand she completed her doctorate at 83. Don't give me your excuses. I have to tell you, I will always be in that audience. I attended an African drumming workshop in which the young man from Uganda, after a long pause, admitted that while he couldn't speak freely in his country, he felt comfortable among us in acknowledging the inherent value of his gay friend. From event to event, how powerful it was to see world leaders breathe life into the theme of the Parliament, reclaiming the heart of humanity. How powerful it was to see world leaders come together in such a tangible agreement to the idea that the thing, by whatever name we choose to call it, that the thing by which we are one is far more compelling than the countless ways in which we imagine ourselves to be separate. How powerful it was to truly get it from world leaders that we all want our children to have food. How powerful it was to get it from world leaders that we all want our people to have livable incomes, that there's no reason for 2 billion people to live on less than $1 a day. How powerful it was to get it from world leaders that we all want our girls to be educated, that we all want our women's voices to be heard. How powerful it was to get it that we all want our LGBTQ people to live lives fully expressed as beloved children of God. How powerful it was to get it from world leaders that starvation and poverty and inequality and, yes, violence have been put on notice. To witness the Confucian and the Aboriginal and the agnostic alike, their voices rising in a rousing chorus of no more. No more. How powerful it was to get it from world leaders that while the influence of government ends at the borders of our respective countries, the influence of global spiritual community driven by such universal and transcendent values knows no boundaries. And yes, I have to admit, I found myself grateful. Imagine a sacred music night featuring dance, music, poetry, prayers, devotionals, a fast-paced parade of Jain and Jewish, Baha'i, a stunning collage of spiritual artistry from Burundi drummers to whirling dervishes to the Islamic call to prayer held in the Salt Lake Tabernacle on Temple Square. Imagine 10,000 individuals sitting on the floor, heads covered and shoes removed, as the Sikh community carried large silver trays of delicious food until every last person had been fed. Day after day after day. Imagine that. So my friends, if you have a story that would minimize any human being based upon the way in which he or she perceives that which is greater, based upon how he or she worships, prays, dresses, or eats, let it go. Just let it go, because I can tell you that your story is false. I can tell you that there is a spirit which resides beneath such peripherals, beneath how one worships, how one prays, one dresses, one eats. And that spirit is a thing of great beauty. It's kind. I can tell you that it's loving. And it deeply desires to say hello, or namaste, or shalom, salam, as it passes you in the hallway. It deeply desires to make eye contact. It deeply desires to smile. It deeply desires to press its hands together and to acknowledge you with a little bow. And it deeply hopes that you will somehow give it permission to do so. The Spirit deeply desires to peer behind the veil of your peripherals, behind the veil of how you pray, how you dress, how you eat, how you worship, and to assure you that his or her deepest fears and highest hopes for humanity are the same as your deepest fears and highest hopes for humanity. This is week 2 in a series we've called 5 Fabrications, Falsehoods and Fallacies. Why in the world would I explore such a thing? There are 2 proverbs. And the first one says that as a man or woman is in his or her heart, so we are. And understand that in biblical idiom, when the word heart is used, it certainly doesn't refer to an organ, and it certainly doesn't refer to that feminine part of self which is so popular in our culture. Rather, in biblical idiom, a reference to the heart, as a person is in his or her heart, it would mean something more akin to as a person is in a total way, in a full way. We might say as a person is in consciousness. We might say as a person is in that sum total of beliefs and attitudes, in that sum total of perceptions about the world in which we live. In that, so we are. And the second proverb says, keep this heart with great diligence. Mind this heart with great diligence. Mind this totality of perceptions and beliefs with great diligence. Why? Because the proverb closes by saying, for from this issues all the matters of life. From this issues all the matters of life. So why would we speak about 5 great fallacies? Well, we live from this heart of self. We build entire lives upon stories, and some of them are true, and some of them aren't. Can anybody relate? And so in week 1, we explored the first of our fallacies. It was this: I am my body. True enough on one level of reality, don't you think? True enough on one level of reality. You know, it's popular nowadays to say I am a spiritual being having a human experience. How many have heard that? You know what? Quantum science would come in right on the tail of that and say, absolutely. They would use different language. They would say, you know what? You are a 2-dimensional energetic being having a 3-dimensional holographic experience. When we perceive self and others as bodies, when we believe that that is the highest reality there is, we believe we have beginnings, and we believe we have endings. We believe we are skin tones. We believe we are ethnicities. We believe we are chronological ages. But when we come into a higher perception of a higher reality of self, we realize that all of that fades. And we come to perceive each other and self in more enduring ways. And the degree to which we choose between the two is the degree to which we give rise to their potentials in our lives. Are you ready for this week? Whew, it's a big one. It goes like this: I own stuff. Like having a body, it's real enough at this level of reality. It's real enough. But you know what? Nature is forever informing and inspiring us. Nature demonstrates that we are not the owners of our spouses. We are not the owners of stuff and things. We are at the very most the honorary caretakers of our friends, of our children. And the issue with a consciousness deeply rooted in I own stuff, the issue with a consciousness deeply rooted in my-ness, is at the moment we decide that we own it, we feel compelled to defend it. And there you have it. And that part of the human creature that would defend can be brutal. I'm reminded of a teaching parable that is attributed to the historical Buddha. He said, you know what, we're like little boys playing on the seashore, and we're building our sand castles, and we're calling them mine. And we begin to build them further and further apart. And eventually one little boy kicks over another little boy's sandcastle. And then the punishment begins. He said, that's what we're like. And these sandcastles, certainly they can represent our stuff, they can represent our things, but more importantly, they represent our opinions, represent our beliefs, and the defense mechanism kicks in, and we become at times quite monstrous. I'd like to give you a little reality check this morning. Are you ready for it? Are you willing? Just nod yes again. And then if you're nodding yes, but you don't really mean it, you may simply divert your eyes when it begins, and promise not to call you out. What I'd like you to do is to allow your eyes to find someone else in this room, and let's start by saying someone in whom you see great potential. Can you allow your eyes to fall upon one of those people? Maybe you allow your eyes to fall upon someone whom you cherish. Is there someone here whom you cherish? Perhaps it's not too strong to say your eyes might light upon somebody you love, upon someone with whom you share an experience that's sacred. Doing good so far? Now take a deep breath, because here it comes. I know, I'm as scared as you are. Here's what I'd like you to know about that. At least one of those people belongs to that other political party. At least one. As we approach midterm elections, I wanted to do that. You know, there's a word that's popular in New Thought circles that you've never heard spoken from this platform. And it's this, it's recovering Catholic. Isn't that clever? It's a clever word, but you've never heard it. You've never heard me say it. And the reason you've never heard me say it is because if your experience of a former religious path or a current religious path is one in which you believe yourself to have received something detrimental, that's your choice. That's not mine. That's not mine. We have people in this room who are devout Catholics, and I love that. I love that. You'll never hear me say recovering Catholic. And I think there's a tendency in communities to begin to assume that everyone shares a political ideology as well. I'm here to tell you it's not true. The healing we seek, Linda, you referenced this so beautifully. I think the healing we seek will not come from demonizing each other. I don't think so. I think the healing we seek will come from returning to the table in great love with each other. That's what I think. For the Republican, there might be a tendency to distance from the Democrat. For the Democrat, there might be a tendency to distance from the Republican. Sadly, such a tendency is sometimes accompanied by self-serving, self-righteous spiritual jargon reminiscent of that misused to justify the white distancing from the black, the straight distancing from the gay, the rich distancing from the poor, the Christian distancing from the Muslim. Curate your environment, I have overheard recently. I wouldn't disagree with that. However, let us accept this as a charge to curate environments free from all, Republicans and Democrats alike, who would weaponize politics, race, orientation, class, and religion against brothers and sisters. In other words, if we must say no, let us refuse to wield that powerful word against brothers and sisters based upon matters of politics and the circular, self-indulgent propaganda thereof. Rather, let's wield that powerful word against all that fails to meet the high standards of radical inclusion and universal respect, which are so clearly sweeping over humanity in the compelling wake of a rising consciousness. Let us continue to prove in dynamic and compelling ways that a disparate and diverse collection of souls can indeed find that field of unity and commonality beyond the dry expanse of human positionality. Let's continue to prove that. That is a gift that Unity in Lynnwood gives, for it is in such a field that we can finally begin again. So last night we gathered, and we supported, and we gave, and we partied, and some of us danced. No, that's not happening. And I think we've lost our chairs this morning. But there she is, thank you. T. Kalfas, would you be willing to come forward again? Of all the volunteers, I welcome this year's co-chair. Yeah, there we go. Because, it's tempting to think that we supported a thing. It's tempting to think that we funded a project. But behind all of that, there is a higher reality, and it is that you are funding and supporting and voting for an emerging idea. That's what you're doing. And that idea is one of oneness. It is an idea of the fundamental brotherhood and sisterhood shared among the life of this planet. It is a vote for the inherent value of every expression of divine life. That's what you gathered to do last evening. I would like Terry Kalfas to tell you just how supportive we were. Thank you.
I'd be happy to. Before I do that, I want to say there were a lot of thank yous said that last night, and a few were left out. Laura Spar and her kitchen team did a phenomenal job. Our shuttle team, Len and Tori, was phenomenal. John and Tony in the beverage room. There were so many. Of course, Stacy was mentioned as the decorator, but she also helped lead the finance team with Bev and help that checkout process go. So I was down with the kids doing Joys and Concerns, and I have to say my biggest joy was seeing all the volunteers come together, and really it was a team project. And speaking for Sandy as well, we are so thrilled and honored that we can support this idea with our work. And so our goal was $40,000, and we raised $45,000.
Woo! Wow. 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 Yeah.
That's why I'm celebrating my community today. Why we're celebrating. Just feels good.
It
to
does
be
feel good,
here.
doesn't it?
Feels good to be here. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. To everyone who is here and contributes to that. So this is the time in our morning when we will pause. We want to provide opportunity for us to give back to this community in the way of our financial gifts. And even though we gave $45,000 last night, let's just give you another opportunity. Thank you for all that generosity. And I also do want to acknowledge with great gratitude our online community for donations made through our live stream and our website. Thank you to everyone who supports this idea called Unity in Lynnwood. While you're preparing your gifts, I will share a quote from Dr. Emily Cady. There must be an equal conscious receiving and giving out to the world, a perfect equilibrium between the inflowing and the outgiving. In this do we join a perfect harmony.
Blessed always, blessed always, for the arms of God surround us. Let our joy be so triumphant that we rest in God and say amen. Blessed always, blessed always, for the arms of God surround us. Let our joy be so triumphant that we rest in God and say amen.
And as the ushers are coming forward, let us share together the offering affirmation that's up on the screen behind me. God is my source, God is our source, and that source supports the evolving, unfolding, soul-stirring idea that is unity in Lynnwood in miraculous ways. And so it is. Thank you, ushers. I also want to pause in our morning because we love to just say a more special hi to people who might be here for the very first time. We love it when people come and check us out. And if you wouldn't mind just raising your hand, we don't call on you to make a speech. Thank you. There are a few things you might have already spotted, the newcomer's information card in the back of the chair in front of you. And we also have a DVD right to the left of the door as you exit. Both of those things show you a little bit about the kinds of things that go on here at Unity in Lynnwood. There's an awful lot happening. You could swing by the Welcome and Information Station as well. In case you would like to, and in case any of you have not yet done this, if you'd like to receive just a couple of emails a month, there's the Stay in Touch card in the back of the chair there as well. Fill out the Stay in Touch card and give it to someone as you exit. Maybe someone with a name tag. I'll take it. To the information station, to our ambassadors. They would be happy to take your card. Thank you for joining us. I have a few announcements. Our beautiful flowers today are dedicated by Steve Mason for his sweetheart, Karen, for bringing wonderful joy, beauty, love, and laughter into their world in honor of their 16th anniversary. This is the last week to register for the first annual men's retreat. The title is Friendship, Fellowship, and Fun with Reverend Michael Bogar. Please feel free to grab a card from the back and register online. Unity in Lynnwood's local humanitarian outreach ministry presents a men's clothing drive in November to benefit the clientele of Everett Gospel Mission. Bring new underwear, socks, and or gently used pants, jeans, shirts, and jackets over the next 3 Sundays to help with this good cause. You are invited to The Body is the Temple of the Soul on Saturday, November 10th from 10 a.m. until 11 a.m. This is led by Nancy Joy Callahan. This experience combines easy does-it movements in a follow-the-leader format to uplifting music, a fun way to connect with others as you lift your spirits, energize your body, find a smile, and warm your heart. November's theme is grace and gratitude. Wear comfortable clothes and shoes and bring a water bottle, mat, or blanket. A Course of Love will meet on Wednesdays, November 7th and December 5th, foregoing third Wednesdays in both November and December to accommodate holiday celebrations. ACOL will resume its first and third Wednesday schedule on January 2nd. Our art coordinator, Nelia Fajardo, is accepting application for our December art show, and the deadline for submissions is November 16th. Please grab a postcard from the back for details, and please enjoy our current show in the art hallway. It's really quite spectacular. And finally, join Rabbi Ted Falcon on Saturday, November 17th at 11 a.m. for Spiritual Saturdays. Share the healing space of the traditions of the Jewish Sabbath. These monthly gatherings continue to offer spiritually supportive responses to these stressful times. All these good things and many more that are happening at Unity in Lynnwood can be found in the calendar or on our Facebook page or on our website at unityinlynnwood.org.
And next week we will be joined by musical guests Wolf Bowden and Amanda Birdsall, who make up the Winterlings. They're all fantastic, so you don't want to miss that. If you'll join me, we'll sing our peace song.
Why the song doesn't say, "Let there be peace on earth and let it begin with you." Have you ever noticed that? Isn't there something really juicy to grab onto in that nuance? I think it's more than the rhyme scheme of the song, don't you? Let there be peace on earth. Let it begin with we. Thank you. Let it begin with we. My friends, what a pleasure to be with you. What an honor to be with you. Find somebody's face and say, "I see a light in you today." I see such a potential in you today. I see something so good in you today. And I'm here to help you let it out. We'll take these closing words. There is one power and one presence in through all creation. So we go forth as the eyes of divine love, as the tongues of divine wisdom, as the hands of divine and the bold and ready hearts of divine life. I love being with you. Come back and see us when we've slapped. Yeah. Have a great week, Unity in Lynnwood.